Well, welcome. I hope everybody's enjoying the expo. How many of you are first-time attenders? Good. Good on you to learn about this industry. How many of you are managers? How many of you are owners? How many of you are area managers or DMs? How many of you have attended this show more than 5 times? Oh, good, then we got some new ones. And how many of you managers have been in this industry less than a year? Less than 5? More than 10? Okay, I always like to know who I'm talking to. Let me tell you a little bit about who I am and why you're here today. I started in the self-storage industry back in 1991, almost like the dark ages, it seems like, 28 years ago. I came from real estate sales in Southern California and Orange County. My husband and I were looking at an ad in the newspaper for a relief manager. My mother-in-law worked for a now defunct company called SureGuard. We answered the relief manager's ad. We were offered a position 2 days a week. Real estate market was not doing very well in the late 80s. So we went to work 2 days a week at a property in Buena Park, California. We worked there for 2 months. I worked 16 days as a relief manager, and we were offered a site manager as a resident manager in Santa Barbara, California. Hey, who's not gonna take a position in Santa Barbara? So we moved on up there. I had 477 units. 139 units were vacant when I took over that property. Within 3 weeks, I only had 9 vacant units left. I would have been 100% full if line 1 had rotated over to line 2. So when somebody called in, and if I was on that line, it rang busy. Timing is everything in life, and obviously timing was perfect there. The students were getting out of college up there. I swore the next year I would not have 139 testosterone-ridden young boys kicking holes in my walls in the hallways. So I worked really hard on marketing and turning that property around. Within 6 months, I was a district manager overseeing 9 other properties. And then that's when I started my company, Mini Management Services, because I found a need that nobody was placing self-storage managers. So that's what I started doing. And so that's how I pretty much started in this industry. And I've been recognized as an expert in managers' wages and bonus incentive programs. I've written over 100 articles for the national magazines, lectured at our trade shows like this one, and state associations as well. So I also want to start out with, let me see here. Okay, wrong way. I'm stuck. There we go. Okay, after this, one thing we started new this year, which I really like, is after the seminars, typically people come up and they rush you and they want to talk to you. So they're now doing overtime with the experts. So if you have any questions or want to speak to me, at the end of the seminar, I'll be over in the Andros A room where you can come on over and you can talk to me. So, look forward to seeing you guys there. Let's start out with, being the best employee that you can be. Education, as anything in this world, is the key. You're taking the first step by attending this seminar today, so congratulations on that. Attend your state trade shows and associations. If you're not a member, please join so. Your company should join those. They have invaluable information. Attend their monthly luncheons and their annual trade shows. That should be a top priority because the industry is changing on a regular basis. Read your articles from Inside Self-Storage, either online or physical magazines. The Mini Messenger magazine or your state association magazines as well. Consider taking night classes to further your education. It could be in business management, marketing, customer service, anything along those lines. If you want to go for a degree, great. You don't have to. It could be personal growth. There is self-storage certification for managers as well. Maybe you want to attend some of those. You always want to ask for Google reviews from every one of your tenants. Whether they're a new tenant, when you first rent a unit, ask for that. We all rely on Google reviews. How many times do you want to buy a product or stay at a hotel? I always look at the reviews. If they're bad reviews, I'm not going to stay there or I'm not going to buy that product. So the more good reviews that you get, the higher up you're going to go in that Google search. You always want to ask your existing tenants for Google reviews as well. When you managers are out there on your sites, riding around your golf cart, stop and talk to your tenants. Ask them if they're having a good experience renting with you. And if so, would they please go online and give you a good Google review? I have some managers that will buy $5 gift cards from someplace like Starbucks. And for a good review, they will give you a coupon. Exiting tenants, your vacating tenants, you want to ask for a review as well. If you've done a great job, you've offered excellent customer service, please ask them to give you a good review there. That only makes you and your property look much better. If you get shopped, if any of you are shopped by Skill Check, how many of you get shopped on a regular basis? Good on you. I have a program called Self-Storage Support for the smaller owner-operators. I have a client up in Seattle that has 4 properties. We started a telephone shop with one of the companies, and in order for these managers, they were obviously given the tools and the guidelines. If they scored 95 or more on their skill check, on their shop, we gave them $100. Now that's a $100 bill in a thank you card. I handwrite a thank you card and send that to them. It's not an extra $100 in their paycheck. I feel that that sets more weight with my managers, keeps them focused and keep them motivated to receive that $100 bill. So keep any of your certificates that you get from your shops, any company rewards, any copies of your reviews. You want facility reports from the time you started until where you are, maybe on a monthly basis. Why are you going to gather those? Because at some point down the line, you are probably going to look for another position. If you've got all that information at hand, it makes you easier for you to write your resumes and your cover letters and be prepared for the interview. Keep in mind, grass is not always greener on the other side of the fence, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. Always strive to be the best each and every day. Remember, you're going to need good, solid employment references when you leave, so don't burn any bridges. I've seen it time and time again where people have left and not had great reviews after the fact. You always want to be the best employee you can be. If you're looking to move up within your current company, say so. You know how many times that I've had managers come to me and their feelings are hurt because they wanted to move up, thought that they deserved to move up within their company, but they never said a word. We're not mind readers. We're not going to know that you're interested in moving up if you don't say so, if you don't state that to your supervisor or your owners. Volunteer to train new employees or oversee new company projects, marketing programs, construction sites, new phases. Be involved within your organization. That's how the people are going to know that you are interested in being a better employee. Like I said, if you don't tell us, we're not going to know. Offer suggestions on improving the day-to-day operations. If you think that things could be done better at your company, let them know that. If you have a policies and procedures manual and you think it's outdated, help rewrite that, update that. Come to them and tell them that that's what you want to do. If you have new forms, you think that there should be other forms, there again, design some. Go to your supervisors. Be proactive. Don't get discouraged if you don't move up right away within your current company or organization. Obviously, a move up with a single owner, chances are pretty slim on that. But if you're with a medium to larger size company, then start thinking about that when you first get hired. Where do you want to go? Do you want to be a site manager and that's where you want to stay? Great. We all need excellent site managers at our properties. If you're looking to move up, there again, education's the key. Be proactive, be involved. Always be the best you can be. Positive attitude. I don't know how many times I've heard people call me looking for a job, and the first thing out of their mouth when I ask them why they want to make a change, they whine and complain about their current owners. Well, I really don't want to hear that. You know, I want to hear what you've done to be a good manager. So you go that extra mile, you will get noticed. Remember, the cream of the crop rises to the top. Now, if you do find yourself that, well, it's time for me to make a new change, what are you going to do? There's our do's and don'ts to writing a resume. You all heard the KISS, keep it simple, stupid theory? That's what you need to do on your resume. You're not writing a novel. I've seen resumes that come across my desk that have 5, 6, 10 pages in a paragraph format. I'm not going to read that, and I don't know too many other owners that will. You want to keep it simple. You've got 15 seconds to grab somebody's, and 15 seconds is a long time. Look at a clock sometime. 15 seconds doesn't sound like very long, but it is. It's a long time. So you want to make sure that you include your contact information in bold, easy to read font. You wouldn't believe how many times I've seen people use fancy font, script font. You can't read it, you don't understand what it is, or it's a 1/4 inch tall. You can't really see. They're using a 6 or 8 point font. Make it large, make it bold. Make sure you include your phone number and your address. If I have a position in Florida and you send me your resume from Nevada, I'm probably not going to call you about a position in Florida unless there's a reason for you to want to be there. Do you have family? Is that where you're from? Things like that. So you want to make sure you've got your email address on it as well. I see a lot of resumes that don't have emails, don't have an address. All it has is a name and a phone number. You want to list the jobs and length of employment, who you worked for and the time that you worked for them. I don't need you to list your job duties. If you're applying for a self-storage manager's position, you're already a manager. We all know what they are. You don't need to say renting units, collecting rent, sweeping and cleaning units. We all know what that is. The only time that you would want to really list that type of thing is if you're looking outside of our industry. If you're looking to be a manager at Dollar General or some other sort of industry, then you may want to list a little bit more detail on what your job duties are. You also want to include a cover letter, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. You want to use action words such as, I accomplished my goals that the company set down. I achieved the highest levels of occupancy. I exceeded the budgetary goals set down for me this year. I was promoted to a trainer or an area manager or a DM. I obtained a certificate or a diploma in a certain degrees. That's where you want to go into that type of thing. I don't really need to know, like I said, what you did as a job duties, because we all know what that is. Please, please, please use your spell check. There's a big difference, and grammar check as well. There's a big difference between THERE and THEIR, or ARE and OUR. Big difference. Your keyboard's not going to know what you're trying to say when you're typing that, and it picks up the spell check. So you want to make sure that you read your resumes. Read them more than once. Have somebody else read them as well. You want to focus on writing a good resume if you want to move up. You want to make sure that you email it to yourself. I get resumes all the time, and the points are off, the bullet points are off, the paragraphs don't match up, there's no space between letters or words. That doesn't look very well when you're trying to send out a professional resume. It doesn't set off a good image. So you want to really make sure that you pay attention to that. Now, if you don't know how to write a resume, or it's been a while since you've written a resume, there are several companies or websites that you can go to. Look online, templates for resumehelp.com or resumegenius.com. You want to make sure that you keep your resumes up to date, even if you're not looking for a position right now. Things change. You never can tell. Owner might come to you tomorrow, or the company may come to you tomorrow and say, we've put the property up for market, it's on for sale. What do? I'm telling you, 80% of the time that property is sold, the manager is not kept on. Why? That's personal preference with owners. Personally, I like to keep a manager in place because I want to work with you. I want to see what kind of manager that you are. I don't come in and clean house, but that's my philosophy. That's not all people's philosophy. So always be prepared. You never know what will happen down the line. Oh, they're looking ahead. All right, the don'ts. There's a lot of things that people do that you shouldn't do when you write a resume. Don't make it too wordy. It's not a book. There again, I've seen 6 or 8 pages of paragraph written stuff, and I'm just not going to, I'm going to go to the next guy. Don't use small or fancy font. It won't email right. Don't list your job duties. There again, if you're applying for a manager, we know what your duties are. Don't use graphics or photos. I've had cutesy little graphics come. I've seen people that will put their pictures of their dogs or their RV or their, vacation in Hawaii. You're not writing a Christmas card, letter that you're sending out at holidays. This is a professional thing that you want to send out. Don't send it out without emailing it to yourself or having somebody read it. Make sure that your references are current. You wouldn't believe how many references that I call when I check references that the phone numbers are no good. They've been disconnected, one thing or another. Your references will change. And when I talk references, I mean employment references. I don't want references from your tenants or your family or your neighbor or, you want employee references, supervisors, the company that you worked for. There again, you want to make sure that you have a positive reference. You want to let your people know that you are using them as a reference. There's nothing worse than somebody giving a reference that they thought was going to be good just to have the people say, no, they would not be eligible for rehire again. So you want to make sure that that is up to date and let the people know that you're going to use them. Letters of reference. If you can get any letters of reference from your current or past employers, they may be a little more hesitant today to give those type of things, because if they say, oh yeah, Johnny was a great manager, and then Johnny goes and gets another job and steals the owner blind, well, you said he was a good manager, then there may raise some problems there. So you want to make sure that everything is up to date, and check your phone numbers every once in a while. Let's talk a little bit about a cover letter. Always include one with your resume. There again, use the KISS, keep it simple, stupid. You want to go into more detail in your cover letter, such as, I was the trainer for my company. I helped write the manuals for the company. I'm a lead manager and I oversaw 4 properties and so many employees. That's where you're going to toot your own horn, is in your cover letter. If you have software and you know more than one self-storage software, list that. I know Domico, SiteLink, Sentinel, QuickStore, PTI. If you know other programs such as WordPress or Excel or Publisher, you want to put those in there as well. A lot of people use Publisher to design flyers at the facility level. If you're a social media guru, maybe you've been involved in your facility's Facebook or Twitter. Let them know that as well. You want to put that in your cover letter. If you do a blog or if you've designed your website, include that as well. These are all assets that a current or new employer is going to value. If you're applying for a resident manager's position, you want to list your pets. What kind of pet do you have and what's the sizes of your pet? And when I'm talking pets, I'm not talking fish or reptiles or, I'm talking dogs and cats. And how many do you have? I mean, if you've got 6 cats and 3 dogs, that may be a little more difficult for a resident manager's type of situation. If you have children, list them too as well. Not all owners will accept children when it's a resident manager's. Why? There's no yard. There's no place for kids to play, especially small children. And if you do have small children, then it's my suggestion to be prepared with your daycare provisions when you talk to a new owner. Because children, small children, or crying babies in an office is not a professional atmosphere. Now, we all know that we have families and children, but be prepared when you talk to an owner on what you're going to do before they ask that. If you're still unsure about what you need to do as far as doing a resume, check articles that may have been written in the Inside Self-Storage magazine or the Mini Messenger or your state association newsletters for ideas on how to improve your resume or your cover letters. Remember, KISS all the way along the way, whether it's in a resume or a cover letter. Now, once that you've made that choice that maybe you want to move up, you want to leave for one reason or another, then you need to be prepared for what's the next step. Where do I go from there? Where am I going to find a new position if I want to move up and I don't have that opportunity within my company, or the property has been sold? What do I do now? You can go to someplace like Indeed or ZipRecruiter, get your resumes uploaded there. If you're looking to live on site and you're a team, whether it's husband and wife, 2 brothers, 2 females, 2 males, whatever it may be, workingcouples.com is a good website for that. They only deal with people that want to live on site, whether it's being at a farm or a resort or a motel or self-storage. That's a good website for you to go to. And then there's industry-specific websites that deal with self-storage, and I won't mention that name. Make sure you keep your resume and your references up to date, include your cover letter, and only apply for positions that you're qualified for. If you've never been a trainer, if you've never been an area manager, or you've never been a DM, don't try to cut corners and apply for that. Even if you think that you're qualified and you think that you could do the job, you may very well be. But if you've been a site manager or a relief manager, there's no way is somebody going to hire you into an area manager or a DM without having that background. There's a big difference, as you know, between being a relief manager and a site manager. A relief manager does a lot less than that site manager. An area manager or a DM also does much more than you do at site level. They're involved in budgets. They're involved in evaluations. They're involved in training. So you want to make sure that you only apply for positions that you are qualified for. Keep in mind that the grass is not always greener on the other side of the fence. I get people that will call me and say, I've been in this business 12 years now. I think I'm ready to move up. I want to make more money. If you're happy where you are, then you sit down with your current owners. If it's just to make more money, sit down and talk to them about that. The more money you make at your properties, the more money they're going to be able to afford to pay you. So therefore, you always want to be focused on your occupancy levels. You always want to be focused on increasing the income. You need to go to your supervisors. You need to tell them when to raise rates if they give you that authority to do so. You need to talk to them about any specials on units that you can't rent. There again, be proactive. That's going to show them that you're a good manager, that you're interested in producing good incomes where you're at, and you enjoy where you're at. Also keep in mind that the older we get, there is such a thing as discrimination against age. So if you're 60 and you want to be an area manager, those chances probably get slimmer the older that you get. I'm sorry, but that's the reality. So therefore, if you've started out in this industry and you want to move up, then go with larger companies. Go with somebody like Public Storage or CubeSmart, somebody that has a big organization that you can move up within that organization. If you're working for a private owner, you're probably going to be right where you are forever. So that's fine. If you're happy there and they pay you well and they treat you well and they give you the authority to manage your property on a day-to-day basis, that's a win-win situation for you. Keep in mind that you've got to crawl before you run. If you want to be an area manager, then be involved and take those steps and be patient. It doesn't happen overnight, but by being proactive and always having a positive attitude, you will achieve what you want to achieve by moving up within your current company, as long as you keep the communications open. So now that you've done your resume, you're the best manager that you can be, you're thinking, okay, I'm going to send out my resumes. What's the next step? Obviously, it's the interview process. If you have gone through the telephone process and now you're down to an actual personal interview, be early, 10 or 15 minutes before your interview time. Make sure you bring a current resume, even if you have emailed it, even if they have called you and told you that they have your resume. Bring your current resume, bring your current list of references. Dress professionally. You wouldn't believe how many times I've had managers that would show up for an interview in their flip-flops and their tank tops and their shorts. This is like, okay. You know, you want to make sure that you are dressed professionally. You know, a polo shirt, men polo shirts, docker pants, ladies a skirt, nice slacks, nice blouse. You want to make sure that you're clean and well-groomed, that your hair's cut, that you shaved. Please don't wear heavy scented perfumes or lotions. Some people find that offensive, so you want to make sure that you're not going to be overpowering during that interview process. One thing I used to do when I sold real estate, I would go into people's homes. You walk right into strangers' homes. You don't know them. First thing I'd do is I'd take my cell phone, I would turn it off, and I would place it on the table. That showed them that I respected them enough that I wasn't going to be interrupted by that cell phone. So make a point of showing that to that interviewer that they're the most important person there. That's just a little technique that will speak volumes for you as being a professional. Be positive. Come in with a smile on your face. You want to be positive. Don't whine about your last employer. Don't rant about them. If they ask, why are you looking to make a change? I'm looking for a new challenge. I'm looking for a new area. You know, money is not the number one reason people call me looking for another job. That's probably the third reason down the line. The number one reason is because they want to relocate closer to their family, their aging parents, or their grandkids. Next reason down after that is that you're not given the authority to actually manage your property on a day-to-day basis. You have to call in if you waive a late fee. You have to call in to offer a special. You have to you're too overly micromanaged. And you can say that, I just don't feel like I have the authority to really do some of the marketing that I would like to do. There again, that turns that negative into a positive. Be prepared with a list of questions regarding the company you're applying for. Remember, interviews are two-way streets. You're not underneath the lights. I didn't do it. You want to go in with a list of references, or a list of questions that you want to ask the interviewer. How long has the company been in business and how many stores does it have? Bigger companies there again are going to have the move-up opportunities for those that want to move up and look at our industry as a career. There are pros and cons to working for a larger company and working for the smaller individual. As you know, those that work for private owners, you cut through the red tape. You get an answer right away. It doesn't take you 3 weeks to get an answer back from corporate. So it depends on what your MO is and what you feel comfortable with. Big question is why they're looking for a new manager and how long was the last manager there. If they turn over a manager every 6 months, I would kind of take a second look at that company personally. Do I want to go to work for them? I don't want to find another position in 6 months. If the people are retiring or if it's an illness or we just bought the property and we're looking for a new manager, great. That's what you want to see. You want to know what the office and gate hours are. That's important. And what days do they work? And are those days set in stone? Most time managers, as you know, are off on Sunday and Monday. So Sunday you can go to church, spend time with your family. And then Monday, you've got your relief manager. So that brings me to, is there a relief manager? Or are you going to have to find your own relief manager? That's one of the big questions that I would be asking. And how is that relief manager? Are you going to mesh with their personality? You would definitely like to meet that person as well. What is the pay and what bonus structure do they have? What sort of benefits? Do they offer medical, sick, or vacation days? And if they pay partial of your medical, what is that? Is there a policies and procedures manual, and when was it last updated? Who will do your training? And how long is that training? And who is your supervisor? These are important questions that you're going to want to ask. I don't care if you've been in the business for 20 years, a new company is going to want to train you to their policies and procedures. Now, if you've been in the business a long time, you obviously know your state's lien sale laws. But there's other things, marketing. What are the policies for dealing with irate tenants? Whatever the case may be, you want to make sure that you want to find out in that manual. What software do they use? And if there's a manager's apartment, is there a rental lease that goes with it? Now, you're probably not going to pay for the apartment, but it's a good idea to have a lease for that states what you can use the apartment for, what happens if utilities, you leave all the windows open and run the air conditioning, and all of a sudden the utilities go from 200 to 400. Well, that's really your responsibility, to pay that difference. So you want to keep in mind that even though that is part of your job, be conscious of taking care of that apartment. Now, after the interview, you have to speak up. Let the interviewer know that you're interested in that position at the end of that. Tell them, I'd love to go to work for this company. I think that everything you told me is perfect. I'd be really happy here. There again, we are not mind readers. We don't know if you're interested in the position at the end of your interview. So make sure that you let them know that before you leave. Shake their hand, say thank you. I hope to hear from you. I'd really enjoy going to work for you. Follow up after the fact with a handwritten note. How many times does somebody send a thank you note that's handwritten? That's why I send thank you, great jobs, wow, congratulations, when a manager scores so high on their skill check. I appreciate them. They paid attention. They work hard. They deserve that. And so I always do a handwritten note. If you didn't get the job, then ask. What could I have done better so that my next interview will be more successful? Because we all make mistakes during the interview, so you want to reevaluate that once that you've left. Ask them to keep your resume on file for something that may come along the line. Maybe you weren't suited for that position at that particular location. Then keep in mind that they have other locations if they're a larger company. Follow up every month or so to keep your name in front of them, in the forefront. Be proactive and go for your goals and your dreams. You want to let them know that you're interested. You always want to strive, and I can't say this enough, to be very professional in what you do. Always, 100% of the time. Think of a positive attitude. When you walk in that front door, whether you're a resident manager or you're an off-site manager, when you walk into that front door and put the key in that door and open that, forget anything that's been going on in your personal life. The argument you had with the husband or the wife the day before. The dog that didn't go outside and went to the bathroom on your carpet that morning. Set all of that stuff aside. You're at work, you want to smile, you want to give your employer 100%. That's the way that you're going to move up within your current organization. That's the way that you're going to remain to be a professional manager. And I know every one of you in here are that type of manager. Just keep it up. Be an asset to your company. They will value you. And if they don't value you, then do what I've suggested here and be prepared to look for another position and go with a company that will value you. Most of the owners out there that I deal with and that I know do value you. And if any of you have read any of the articles that I have written over the 28 years, I can almost cut and paste in the last paragraph that if an owner gives his managers the authority to manage, pays them well, puts an attainable bonus program, one to make you stretch, but that is attainable, it will be a win-win situation for you and the owners and the facility. So I'm a firm believer in that. When I started in this industry back in 1991, my husband and I were making $1,500 a month. We cleared $656 every 2 weeks, and we lived on site. That was a long time ago. And industry has changed considerably as far as your wages go and your bonus programs. So keep up the good work, educate yourself, and always be prepared to think, what happens if this ends? Now, after the meeting here, I will be over there. But before we go, is there any questions that anybody may have? Gosh. Yay! Well, then there's my information. I want to thank you all for attending, and I wish you all best of luck and success in our self-storage industry, and enjoy the expo. Thank you for attending. Best of luck to you all, and good job for attending, you guys. Thank you.